Welcome to the East West Football Podcast. I am Jerry Martinez. I got Walter Stringer with me. What's up, fam?
What's going
So,
on with you?
nothing much, man. We're gonna knock out the AFC North recap. I mean, man, we're getting so close to football season. It's nuts, right? I mean, we can feel the nerves. We're starting to see teams actually in the actual, already starting to the training camp's already started. We're seeing some news breaking out about some players are not too comfortable with the vaccine or
hmm
the zombie shot, right, or whatever you want to call it. So uh, hey man, football's back.
Football's back.
That's
Plain and simple. Plain
football's
and
back.
simple.
Real quick, we really didn't get to get your thoughts, but just real quick, and before we get into the AFC North, we kind of want to talk about the Aaron Rodgers situation.
Mhm.
Uh, have you heard any news lately about Aaron Rodgers?
Coming from out of where I'm from here in Detroit, no, not at all. I'm as close to the situation right now as you guys are.
Correct.
From what we've been hearing lately, it's not getting any better for the Green Bay Packers organization as a whole. You risk losing your Hall of Fame quarterback, who you pretty much don't pretty actually stand a chance without. You run the risk of losing your number one wide receiver, number one threat offensively, and maybe you can argue your second or third best player on the team overall in Devontae Adams. I mean, it's they need to figure out where all this started and cut it off right there.
Yeah. Yeah,
Unless they're
because
they're willing to unless they're willing to be arrogant enough as an organization to roll the dice and say, you know what, we can do it without you two guys.
yeah, I mean, it just seems kind of alarming when the first report was Aaron Rodgers turned down the highest paid opportunity to be the highest paid player in the NFL, and then Devontae Adams turned down his opportunity to be the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. So, yeah, there's something going on. I believe amongst the network, somebody had seen something along the lines from a credible source that Aaron Rodgers may be retiring this week, this up and coming week. Well, it's a storyline to keep eye on. uh, Let me ask you one question, and then we'll jump right into the AFC North. Do you think Jordan Love is ready to step up and show all Packers fans and nation that they don't need Aaron Rodgers?
Once again, zero idea. We have nothing to base it off of. We don't even have any preseason um, tangible, raw footage to really base anything off of. We don't know. You know, I don't think the Packers organization really knows yet. They may know what they have when they see him in practice and OTAs or whatever, whatnot. But when it comes to in-game situations, they don't know. But I do believe it could be a damning situation given the fact that they don't seem to be too confident in putting him in there.
Yeah, man. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, from early indications from what we had been seeing and keep an eye out for, uh, Jordan Love he looked good on the first mini camp, and I'm sorry, he looked bad in the first day of that mini camp that they had, and then the last couple of days where he looked good. So definitely, it's really all over the place there in Green Bay. Hopefully, their ownership, right? Because it's not just one owner. Hopefully, their ownership can get together and come to, like you said, an actual solution to these situations. Because, I mean, literally, they're one game away from the Super Bowl a year ago, and now we're talking about a whole different ball game for them this
Yeah,
season.
I mean it could go from being one game away from the Super Bowl one season to being one game away from picking in the top 10
Yeah, for sure.
of the, of the NFL draft. So that's how the NFL goes.
Trust me. Following the Cowboys and the Texans, man, it's not. It's because that's home, right? Texas. I'm
Right.
not saying I'm a Texans fan, but just being able to see them two teams picking the top 10 it was an ugly season, and it was no joke, man. It makes you feel like your state is not doing too good, right? But let's get right into it. AFC North, man. We're talking about Baltimore Ravens, man.
Yep.
The Baltimore Ravens, man. They coming into the offseason. I mean, we saw what they did 2020, but in the offseason, I mean, right away, a lot of us were saying they need help on the offensive line. They need help with the wide receivers. they need a little bit more help on the defensive line slash edge rushers because a lot of them were leaving like Matt Judon. I think they even what did they do with Yannick, right?
Yannick, yeah.
So when you look at it, they had some holes to fill. Overall, in a nutshell, what would you say? How was their what's going on, man? What's up,
Well,
TJ? What's up, TJ?
what's up? What's up?
Yeah, man. I mean, what would you say in a nutshell? I mean, well, if you want to give it a grade, do you think that they did enough to put themselves back into contention?
We're combining draft as well as free agency.
Yeah, let's do it both, man.
I would give them an overall. I would give them a B plus. B plus. I think, and the reason I wouldn't give them an A quite yet is because we really don't know what the receivers are going to be like. I love the two guys they got in Bateman, Rashad Bateman in the first round, and also getting Tylan Wallace from Oklahoma State later on, and I believe the fourth round, third or
Yeah.
fourth round. So, the jury's still up on those guys. They're two kids coming in. But overall, they helped the offensive line. If you look at what they did in free agency, I think getting Kevin Zeitler from the Giants was huge. Also, if you look at what they did in the draft, getting Ben Cleveland from Georgia, the guard in the third round, was also big. So I think they fixed the guard situation. If you can remember last season, we spent, it seems as if every single Sunday at 11, 12, whatever, discussing the Baltimore Ravens and their guard situation. So I think they did enough to fix the offensive line, which opened things up for J.K. Dobbins. So in general, everything as usual comes down to the quarterback play. You know, are they going to get steady improvement from Lamar? We know what you're going to get Lamar as far as power runs and dynamic plays, and on broken plays, we know what he can do. He can take a broken play that looks like a 5-yard loss or an 8-yard loss, and he can turn that there into a 60-yard touchdown. But I think they need less of that from him, and they need more consistency from him. I think more consistency throwing from the pocket for him will help things as far as running the ball with J.K. Dobbins as well. Um, Sammy Watkins, his health will be huge. If they can get some healthy years, some healthy production from him, he will also help. So, and getting things open for Mark Andrews. They want to see a better version of Mark Andrews from what they saw last year. So I think in general, the Ravens did enough. It's just time to see Lamar take that next step.
Makes perfect sense. Real quick, I want to give a shout out. So TJ, this is TJ, guys. If you guys love us, if you guys are Saints fans, you gotta keep up with State of the Saints podcast, man.
Yep.
He is legit. He is bringing on crazy guest, man. He's doing an awesome job. I'm at Who Dat Nation. Hats off to you, TJ. Thank you so much for the love and support, brother. Man, I think going back to the Ravens, I believe what you said. It was almost as once the actual opposing teams were able to shut down the running game. Lamar just kind of lost his flair, his he wasn't able to be the same player. I mean, yeah, he broke off some good runs and whatnot, but I mean, it all started. It felt like Marshall Yanda after he went down, that offensive line could not get rhythm, and then boom, we saw their offensive tackle Ronnie Staley go down, and then they traded right Orlando Brown
Exactly.
in the offseason too. So, I mean, how they handle their off seasons, it just shows you that they're just putting out an off season clinic. I think, personally, right? I think, like you said, Lamar Jackson is up. We all know Lamar Jackson is up next for a big payday. So this is his year to shine. And when you go and you say, okay, he needs help on the offensive line and he needs some wide receivers, right? Because we have Hollywood Brown, and Hollywood Brown does have potential to be a big play wide
Yeah.
receiver. But it's easy to double team that guy opposing. And what they do, they went and got Rashad Bateman, who can literally adjust in midair and come down with these circus catches. So now I think that if anything, the Ravens are in a great situation because what they did, the way they maneuvered in the draft, they went and they got Jason Uwe, who looks amazing as
Yeah.
their outside linebacker, right, as their edge rusher. So
Got to see some production.
yeah, and it all comes down to production. But what he was able to do at Penn State, he looked like an absolute wrecking machine at the actual edge, at the edge position. So
Right.
what they're what they were able to do with those two first picks was just immediately address their what they felt were their biggest needs. So I really do feel that the Ravens have put the ball back in Lamar's hands and have enabled the Ravens to be successful. Um, Now we'll go ahead and go with the predictions as far as what they'll do or where they'll finish. But yeah, they were looking at wide receiver, offensive line, edge, and defensive line. So I think they
Right.
addressed it very well. Moving
Well,
along.
well, they
Oh,
also have a couple young wide receivers who showed a lot of promise last season. And
oh yeah,
James Prochet,
Crochet. Yeah.
a guy that out of SMU
Yeah.
that
What was the other one?
and we were very high on. Miles Boykin also,
Boykin.
the
Yeah.
6'4" receiver. Yeah, so they've got some guys, some young guys coming on. The thing is, all of his guys are young.
Yeah.
And I would love to see Lamar be able to grow with all these young guys. A guy like Tylan Wallace, who may not run the fastest 40, but has outstanding ball skills, outstanding timing, his routes, his hands. He shows everything to be a solid number 2 wide receiver. And of course, Rashad Bateman, who I think is someone who Lamar so direly needed. He needed someone not necessarily a big guy, a specimen such as a Terrace Marshall, who a lot of people thought probably should have went ahead of Rashad Bateman. Terrace Marshall, the wide receiver out of LSU, who's probably faster, stronger, possesses more outstanding physical traits than Bateman, but Bateman is a better route runner. I think he has better hands. I think everything about him is better as a pure wide receiver. And I think that's really what Lamar needs right now is someone he can depend on because Marquise Brown has been playing out of position, in my opinion, his first couple seasons in the league. They wanted him to be kind of a Tyreek Hill
Yeah.
clone type, and a lot of teams been reaching for that guy, haven't found him. I
Yeah.
think he needs to be best suited in the slot. He can do a lot of damage underneath. He can be a demon underneath. He can always take the top off anybody's defense. You just need to be able to disguise him better and get him open better. So the Ravens have some young pieces. It comes down to Lamar. Like I said, he has to grow with these guys. And more importantly, he's the elder statesman now. He's not young kid Lamar anymore. He's the
Yeah.
guy in that locker room, and it's up to him to make those kids better out there on the perimeter.
No, you're absolutely right, man. I mean, look at we're talking now Cleveland Browns. I mean, look at
Hmm.
I mean, you have they're gonna have to face the Cleveland Browns twice a year. Look at the Cleveland Browns. They're coming into the offseason. Some of their glaring needs were linebacker, edge rusher, cornerback, and defensive line, just in general. So, I mean, overall, what would you say? How, including the draft and the free agency, how do you feel the Browns did?
Outstanding.
Outstanding. So better than the Ravens.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, let's talk about some of their moves, right?
Well, for one, I think when you look at John Johnson, we're gonna
Okay.
start. We're gonna start with John Johnson before we start
The
with
free
anybody
agent,
else.
the free agent
Yeah,
safety
yeah.
from Rams. Okay.
Possibly they got the number 1 safety in football last year.
Wow. Okay.
Possibly he's either number 1, number 2, however you want to run it with him, Kevin Byard,
Okay.
whoever you want to run it. I think John Johnson is going to be a huge loss for the Rams also. But John Johnson brings them someone on that back end that can clean up whatever you need him to clean up. Now, if you look at the corner position, Denzel Ward, in my opinion, is one of the top 5 corners in football when he's healthy. He's barely healthy, it seems like, but when he's on the field, he's one of the best guys to do it at his position. They go out what they do in the first round. They snatch Greg Newsome,
They did.
another big, physical, aggressive, confident, fast wide receiver that fits in that man's scheme what they want to do. You go look at what they did in the second round. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah fell right to them in their laps.
What
You
a
got a
steal.
weapon. And what better situation for him to go to a situation with a loaded defense? You got a loaded secondary. You're playing in the middle of a loaded secondary and maybe the best pass rusher in football right now, Myles Garrett. And if you look at the defensive line, they went out and they got some guys to fill in on that defensive line. One
Jadavian
guy,
Clowney,
yeah,
most notable.
yep, they went out and got him. I think was it Sheldon Richardson
Yep,
that they bring in.
that is correct.
I think Marvin Wilson, who I'm gonna always bring Marvin Wilson's name up. One of my favorite players coming out of this past year's draft. So they got him as an undrafted free agent, which I thought was a huge steal. If they expect him to throw him in at 0 and eat up some double teams. Marvin can do that. Marvin's got the attitude. Marvin's got the ability. I love what the Browns did. Love it. Now when we look at them offensively, one huge question I think no one's really, well, one guy no one's really talking about is Odell. How does Odell come back and fit into all of this? And I think a lot of people feel, well, he's talented. Make it work. And that doesn't always, work. It didn't happen in New York. It really didn't happen whenever he was on the field in Cleveland his first couple of years there now. So what are they going to do with him? And do they decide to move on from him? Do they feel like, hey, I'm in first, second year head coach of Stefanski. I did it without you. I can move on without you again. So what do the Browns do?
I think that's actually one of the biggest question marks right there because do they really need him? That's I think at this point, with the coaching staff and the players they have on staff, it looks like a team that's starting to mesh. Now, I'm not ready to crown them the actual champs yet of that division or even Super Bowl champs, but man, I'll tell you this: if Baker Mayfield can really lock in and stay focused and really, really work with the coaching staff and I'll tell you this. I mean, we look at the Browns. I mean, for them to be able to marry a coaching staff to an entire or football a football team, right? We're talking about football players. It looks like they're starting to turn that corner in the right direction. And man, they had a very impressive 2020 season. It's unfortunate that they've had to go through so much, but definitely they've been giving the Cleveland Brown fans, something to be hopeful about, cheerful about, bring football back to Ohio, right? In general, in Cleveland.
Well, things tend to work out when you hit on some picks. They
That
they, they hit on Jedrick Wills too, which was
yeah.
huge.
Yeah, that you have a great point there, and that's because last season, off season, they needed offensive line, and they went and got offensive tackles. That's what they
And
did.
hey, and they had one of the top performing offensive lines in all of football last season.
They did. So I will say this: I mean, overall, linebacker, right edge, corner, and defensive tackle. Those are their glaring needs. I mean, they did it. You named it. Greg Newsome, the northeast. What is it?
Northwestern,
Northwestern. I'm
yeah.
sorry, Northwestern cornerback. I mean, it ran a fast 40, long. Like you said, he could keep up with any wide receiver. I think that he also has some playmaking traits to him that it makes him unique. And then you pair him with Denzel Ward. They still got Greedy Williams too. So I mean, the team overall looks like they're balanced out. They got an edge. They got edge help with Jadavian Clowney. I think having Miles Garrett could probably maybe help out Jadavian Clowney career turn the page, right? And then of
Hmm.
course, like you say, they call him Joke, right? Or Jeremiah Wusu Koroma.
Yeah.
They call him the Joke, right? The acronym for his name. So when you got him at linebacker, and you got playmakers all over that defense now to tag on with that offense. Wow, what a division so far. I mean, just with the Ravens and Browns, this is must see TV already. So let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Steelers, they needed some help on the offensive line, offensive tackle, offensive guard, they also needed to address the outside linebacker, and they needed help getting that running game going. So overall, with the free agency and the draft, what do you think? Well,
They didn't do.
Big Ben looks good. I don't know if you saw that, but I had to go back and see the reports, and Big Ben is looking real nice and sharp. I think he dropped. Oh, I think it was like 15 pounds.
He looks good compared to Big Ben.
Yes, I
Yeah.
mean we'll
Yeah.
see, but
Um.
overall, man, I mean let's not break too many Steeler fans' hearts here, man.
Well, you can argue that they did the least as far as free agent wise, as far to really get themselves in the
but
right position. They brought back some guys. I think they made sure this season they kept a lot of picks. They drafted a lot of guys, a lot of under the radar guys. Najee Harris was the number 24 overall pick, running back out of Alabama that they took in the first round. Love him. I actually love their first two picks. I love Pat Fryermuth also.
yeah,
I love Pat Fryermuth.
you did,
Yeah,
baby Gronk, man, baby Gronk.
yeah. He seems like a perfect fit for Pittsburgh.
Man, and just to think, man, they got what Chase Claypool already. Uh, man, they got some weapons already.
Yeah, they also got Quincy Roche, the linebacker, the pass rusher, out of Miami, got him in the 6th round. So
They
they
li-
did,
they lost Bud Dupree. That's why you're saying that.
yeah, huge, huge. So I mean, they didn't do a lot. They lost some guys. I'm kind of, are they still rumored to bring in Melvin Ingram?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, so it seems to me that they're going all in on defense as much as they can, even though that secondary is still very suspect. That front seven isn't, not so much, but they seem to be going all in on defense, and they're playing it, I guess, to shut down the Browns and shut down the Ravens and the Chiefs or whatever. But once again, everything comes right back to the quarterback play. And what do you expect to get out of Big Ben? What do you expect consistency wise to get out of Chase Claypool? What do you expect to get out of your number 2, your number 3, your number 4 wide receivers? And what do you expect to get out of Pat Frymuth as a green rookie?
No, yeah, it makes perfect sense. My biggest question to you right now is: will Najee Harris be a thousand yard rushing? Will he have a 1,000 yard rushing yard season for a rookie running back?
Barring health, yes.
Okay, that you're
Yeah.
saying if he's able to stay healthy, it's a yes.
Yes. I mean, even if he's healthy, he gets the carries. I see no reason why he wouldn't get the carries. Who else would get the carries? So, yeah, I believe if he's healthy, he can clear 1,000.
I still have faith in Ben. I think that if like Najee Harris can do what Le'Veon Bell did back in what was it 2016,
Right.
man, this offense is unstoppable. And I think that they were able to reload, even though they don't have Antonio Brown anymore or Le'Veon Bell on that team anymore. They don't need them. You got superstars at every level almost, and especially at the wide receiver position, you still got Juju. Like I said, you have Claypool, you have Deontay Johnson, who Kendall's very high on. And then, like you say, you got Pat Fryermuth. You got also Najee Harris, and then of course, you still have Ben. So I think if you can get the running game going, I think the Steelers can get back on track.
Well, Juju, good old Juju.
Juju,
Juju plays a role in all this also.
he does.
You
And
know,
then and
so
then they also gained Devin Bush back too,
true, true.
who on defense he's their quarterback on defense, right?
Yep.
So let's move along, man. The Bungles, or man, I'm sorry, the Bengals,
Man,
right?
don't call them that.
Yeah, they're not the Bungles no more, man. They got Mr. Joe Cool Burrow at quarterback now. I mean, what do you think, man? I mean, we knew him as the Bungles previously. I mean, not everybody would call him that, but you know what I'm talking about. It looks like they're starting to kind of say, hey, we want to play some NFL football, right? They got Joe, Mr. Cool Burrow.
Yeah.
Aside from his injury, uh, he's the type of quarterback you want on your team. Am I wrong? Or am I right?
Absolutely. I think through a lot of chaos, those first handful of games he played before getting hurt in that Washington game, he showed you a lot.
He did. He
Wasn't
did.
high touchdown pass games, whatever, but he wasn't out there turning the ball over. He was distributing the ball the way you want him to distribute the ball. And I believe, was it the Jacksonville game where he threw the ball 62 times
Yes.
and did not turn the ball over once? And I think
Correct.
and on that show, it was on a Thursday, matter of fact, or
Yeah, it
either
was.
Tuesday or Thursday.
No, it was a Thursday.
A Thursday, yep. And I remember on that show that we had that Sunday, Coach and I were discussing how strange it is because even with a veteran, you ask the typical veteran to throw the ball 62 times, he's going to turn the ball over at least twice, if not 3 times. So,
Yeah.
yeah, Joe displays the instincts, the timing, the guts, whatever you want to call it. Joe possesses all of that in the pocket. And I've heard word that his arm seems to be a lot stronger since he's come back as well. So,
Wow, that's good.
um, I love Joe. Love Joe. I'm just not so sure if he can overcome what Cincinnati does or not do. Like I just believe Jamar Chase. You could have gotten him. Maybe not as good help. Depends on how you view the number 3, number 4, number 5 wide receivers in this draft, or even 6 wide receiver for that matter. I just believe at that pick, the guy that should have been the pick for them was Panay Sewell, who went to my Lions a couple picks later. But they did get a guy who I believe in the 4th round in Deontay Smith
DeAndre Smith.
out of East Carolina, and I'm willing to bet that he'll eventually be the starting left tackle over the guy that they took in the 4th round. Actually, the guy they took in the 2nd round was Jackson Carman out of Clemson. Deontay Smith is a very, very physically gifted, talented offensive tackle who's just a little raw right now, but he's there, and he's a guy that I think could eventually take over as that number one tackle over there in Cincinnati. Hopefully, he's the guy that rescues them from not taking Penei Sewell.
So, let's look at that, right? Because I mean, when we look at this team, I think that if anything, with the pick of Jamar Chase, it just shows you that they want to get that ball out of Joe Burrow's hands faster. And then you still got they still got Joe Mixon, your favorite one of your favorite running backs
True.
of all time.
Of
Look,
all time.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, in college.
No,
Uh,
he's one of my favorites now. I just want to see Joe. Man, if Joe can stay healthy,
Man, he
Joe,
could be he could be special. Yeah.
if Mixon can stay healthy, he's the best protection Joe Burrow can have.
You're being. I mean, honestly, I'm gonna agree with you on this one. I don't care as much as we shouldn't agree, but Joe Mixon is he's something else, man. If he can stay healthy, things could instantly change for the Bengals offense if he can stay healthy and he can get going. Um, when we look at that offense, right, like I was saying, they want to get this ball out of Joe Burrow's hands faster, which he can do. They got Jamar Chase. I think I forget who it was that we brought on, and they said, "Hey, look, the Jamar Chase pick is going to be good because Jamar and Joe they kind of know each other. They work with each other so much. He could just tell them what the defense is doing, and he's going to be there, and Joe knows where to get the ball." So it made sense, like to make this marriage up. The defense was kind of I don't want to say revamped; it was rebalanced, so to say. Because they lost some players, right? They lost William Jackson, who was a very productive corner. They replaced him with Cheeto Awuzie. They got Von Bell. Um, when I
What do you think of Awuzie? You know a lot about him.
Man, Awuzie, I think that this is a good situation for Awuzie. I think that when you play for Dallas Cowboys, I think the lights are a lot brighter than any other team in the NFL. I think that sometimes Awuzie did what he could. I know it's hard being a corner for the Dallas Cowboys. The only person I think that has been able to come in and be a very successful corner for the Dallas Cowboys, aside from Byron Jones of late, but I'm just saying in general was somebody that has a Deion Sanders personality, right? And we already know how Deion Sanders' personality can be. But let's get back to it. The defense, man. Cheeto Von Bell. I like the pick with Joseph
Osai?
Osai from Texas. Seeing Texas Longhorns, I think that he's a great edge rusher. And like you said, you got Deontay Smith. They got Carmen Jackson from Clemson.
Yeah.
The future looks bright for the Bengals, man. If I'm a Bengals fan right now, honestly, I'm kind of happy with all these picks. I'll tell you this: the Bengals have always done a great job finding. They're kind of like the Steelers. They always find that gem in the fourth and fifth and sixth round. I mean, they did that.
Yeah.
I mean, look at they lost Carl Lawson. Carl Lawson was what a second, third round pick that they had from a few years ago, and he got some big money to go be a Jets to join the Jets organization. You see, and people wouldn't even know who Carl Lawson was, but he was actually a very productive defensive end for the Bengals. So if you look at these picks that they've assembled, they put together an offensive line that can help that can grow and help Joe Burrow protect them. The defensive line looks like they were able to add and reload on the defense. Um, the Bengals' future looks bright, man. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and put this division in order from one to fourth. Starting with fourth, who finishes fourth in this division?
Whoo boy. Oh man. Cincinnati finishes fourth.
ah, I have to agree with you on this one.
As whoo boy. And listen, man, as much as I want to put Pittsburgh there, I think that defense is going to be strong enough to keep them out of the basement.
Ah, man, look, I love Joe Burrow, man. I think he's one of the. I like his personality. I love his game. I love the game he plays, man. But
His
I
team isn't ready yet.
it just they're well, we're gonna see what this coaching staff could do.
Right.
It all comes down to coaching, getting their players coached up the right way. So if that could work out this year, and we start seeing it trend, and we know that Zach Taylor is going to be the coach for the long haul, then maybe perhaps things could be different. But for me, the Bengals are finishing fourth, finishing third in the division.
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh,
Pittsburgh.
man,
I
did
don't
it,
think the way I feel the same way about Pittsburgh as I feel about pretty much every other team around the league. If you're not explosive in the passing game consistently, it's going to be hard to really win games. Well, it's going to be hard to win big games. Like I said, they're going to be good enough to beat bad teams, I think. And if you look at who they beat last season before they ran into Washington, they beat a lot of bad offenses.
yeah.
So they're going to be defensively good enough to just keep them out of the basement. And I think that's mainly because I just don't think the Bengals as a team are ready yet.
Man, well, this is tough, man. This is tough because
Ain't nothing
we
tough about it.
hold on.
Ain't nothing tough about
Well, they were they were
it.
they were on the road to being undefeated last season. Remember
Man, go back, man. Pro Football Reference. Go,
that?
go back and look at who they beat on their way to getting to 11-0.
Well, I'm just saying we really cannot deny that. They
Oh
just
no,
broke
listen, 11-0 is 11-0. I understand that, but something went horribly wrong
they
that night against Washington.
they broke down, man. They started breaking down. Injuries started piling up on the Steelers team. But you know what? This is difficult for me to say, and it's hard, man, because for the longest time, the AFC North, it's always been the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers 1A, 1B. Yes or no?
Yeah, of course.
And now for them to be third in this division, it's a very tough situation to pre-analyze and say that they're going to finish third. But I'm going to go ahead and agree with you on this one.
But who knows, man? With the way things are set up with that 17th game, they could still wind up making the playoffs.
You true. It's very very true. This division is man. This division, I would have to say, with the AFC West of what the AFC West is becoming, the AFC North still is top dog. I think right now in the AFC, man.
Well, I think the North and the East are the two divisions that could possibly get three teams in. Because even if you look at the AFC East with the Dolphins, the Bills,
And
and the Dolphins,
Patriots
Bills, and
and
Patriots,
Patriots,
yeah,
yeah,
Dolphins,
Patriots.
Bills, and Patriots. There's a possibility any of those three teams could make it. So,
I love how you said that, and thank you for bringing that to light. So let's move along though. Who's finishing second?
Baltimore, Baltimore. I think the Browns.
Wow.
I
Okay.
mean, they didn't win it last year,
All
but
right.
I
All
mean,
right. All right.
well, I just think, man, the Browns are stacked. We already touched on it. Everything is on them. I think it comes down to health, and it comes down to, is this team mature enough to handle success? They were one play away from possibly taking down the Kansas City Chiefs a few months ago. So how do they bounce back from that? Is this team mature enough to bounce back from that? Does Baker Mayfield have his thumb on the pulse of this team to make sure they've already moved past that months ago? They should have been past that, because we've seen teams not only in the Super Bowl, but we've seen teams in regular have playoff losses that they just never bounce back from. So if you look at this team, all three levels of defense, they're stacked. They've got a solid offensive line. They got one of the best running back tandems in football. They got one of the best young quarterbacks in football. Why shouldn't they?
Wow.
So listen, man, the Browns have pressure on them this season that they've never had before. They're expected to win.
So you're saying the Ravens finished second, the Browns finished first, and
Yeah.
the Browns are AFC division champs.
Hmm.
Well, I have to disagree. I think the Browns are still the Browns.
Wow.
They're
Wow.
they're finishing second in this division. Give me the Ravens. The Ravens are still king in this division. I think that they did it. The Ravens did exactly what they needed to do to go ahead and put all the naysayers. Uh,
Wait a minute. They didn't do everything now. They're still small up front
Look,
on defense.
well, look. I mean, I just think personally, I think that when you have a quarterback of the caliber of Lamar Jackson, literally you got Rashad Bateman who can just in midair and just do this acrobatical catches that you need. So I think I think this is a great situation to keep an eye on. I do think that the Ravens are going to be top. I'm not just saying this to be disagreement with you, but I'm just saying I just what I seen. I don't get me wrong. I like the Browns team. I just feel that overall, when you look at it, it comes down to Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield. Excuse me. Now, Baker is what he is. He's a passer, and they've done a great job as far as getting him out in those rollouts and whatnot. But if Lamar can become a full passing quarterback, watch
He
out, man. This
he
team,
has to, but
the
that's the thing. He has to, and the pressure keeps mounting. You got to look around at the rest of his draft class. You know, Darnold is in a whole other situation in Carolina. He's set up to thrive.
yeah,
You look at
Josh Allen.
yeah, Josh Allen. Josh, who was a guy who couldn't complete 60% of his passes in high school, couldn't do it in JUCO, couldn't do it at Wyoming. But I'm not even sure if he did it his rookie year with Buffalo, but he's there now. He's slowly eclipsing, so he's past Lamar. As bad as I don't want to say that, but being truthfully honest, Josh Allen right now is better than Lamar Jackson. So, and then Baker. You know, he's done well. Baker hasn't won the MVP, but you know, Baker's getting there too. So Lamar's got to come around, man, before guys start passing him.
Is this the year that we see these quarterback numbers implode? I mean, we got two in the division right now with Baker and Lamar. I mean, are we going to see some astronomical contracts being handed off this offseason or the 2020 offseason?
Well, yeah, you already know we are. You know,
2022, I'm sorry.
yeah, you know we are, given the fact that the young guys that we have in the NFL right now, we're embarking on another golden age of football as far as the quarterback position. I'm glad to be a part of it. I know you're glad to be a part of it,
Oh yeah.
given, you know, when you look at the Baker Mayfields, the Lamar Jacksons, the Deshaun Watsons, the Trevor Lawrences, the Justin Fields, the Zach Wilsons, the Joe Burrows, the Justin Herberts, like you know,
What a tie. What a
yeah,
tie.
the NFL is hemorrhaging young talent right now.
It's
You know,
insane. It's insane to see that the quarterback situation in the NFL is at a level where it's everybody can compete with amongst everybody. So all these teams that you just named, they're in great hands with the quarterback play. Almost it looks like across almost every NFL team. So before we end it, give me one team that doesn't have that needs a quarterback ASAP.
as far as the NFL period,
For yeah, coming up soon.
who man, you talking about for this season or
Uh,
moving forward to the draft or something?
moving forward.
Moving forward, oh boy, shoot.
I would the only reason I said that was because I think that the Steelers needed to address the quarterback position.
Oh well, yeah. So, I mean, yeah. Aside from the Steelers, of course, they have no choice. It would be negligent. And I talk a
So
lot about quarterback negligence. It would be negligent to try to just roll Big Ben out there again next season. So yeah, they definitely have to. I think Detroit is a team who they're on the clock as far as quarterback wise. You know, you look at Philadelphia. Even though I believe your boy is going to play pretty well there in Philly.
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I think he is. I think Devontae Smith is going to be a budding star, regardless of his size, how people feel about it. So yeah, it's
Well,
coming, boy.
there you go, man.
It's coming.
AFC North. So but that's it for us, guys. We want to say thank you for those that tuned in. Thank you for the love, the support. We love you too. Hey, make sure you check out the website, eastwestfootballnetwork.com. We got some people that put out some amazing articles. Make sure you check out our Instagram. We've been going Instagram live on Thursdays. Oh man, we just be acting. We just be talking football, man. We love football. You love football. This is the spot you should be at. And until next week, I believe we have two divisions left. We have AFC. We did AFC West, AFC North. So that would make no. We only have one AFC South. So coming soon, the AFC South, guys. Thank you all.